What's up, guys? CryptoSavy here. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day and had a great weekend. Welcome to the channel where you subscribe to get daily updates every single day on Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, and the Dow Jones Industrial during the week to take a look at traditional markets and what might be going on. Don't forget, we have a free Discord group in the description below the video. Definitely check it out. It's an awesome community, guys, and let's get on with it. All right, guys, just a reminder, this is not financial advice, trading advice, investment advice, none of that. Always remember, this is my opinion, not yours. Do your own due diligence. All right, looking at the news headlines, let's get a feel for the sentiment. A new Bitcoin and crypto spring is coming. So basically that's saying the winter's over. Spring's here. That's bullish. Spike in BTC inflow preceded Bitcoin price. As Bitcoin falls to 2-week lows, small investors look to be buying. So all this so far is looking kind of bullish. We won't talk about that. Spiritual reflections on the Bitcoin halving. Why Bitcoin miners should head to oil country. Stark Bitcoin warning issues a crash. Fears resurface. So that's a little bit bearish, but there's more bullish. Goldman Sachs hosting Bitcoin call. That's really bullish. And people get so bullish, and you see on all the other channels that when this stuff happens, they always get so hyped about it because big players are talking good about Bitcoin. When big players such as JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, when they talk about Bitcoin to the public and get people pumped, they're usually shorting the shit out of the people buying into it. So keep that in mind. Usually when they talk bad about it, that's when you can expect a pump. It's not always, but most of the time. So keep that in mind when you hear all this, you know, when the other channels think this is the best news in the world. Remember, these big players are not in it for Bitcoin. For the most part, they are in it for cash. So let's move on. Crypto Fear and Greed Index. We are at 39. We dropped 2 points from yesterday, and we are still in the fear zone. One thing I want to remind you guys that I've been watching, and we're going to continue watching on this channel, is this gap right around 35.70. I'm not saying it has to fill. I'm not even a big believer in the gaps, but I haven't found a 4-hour gap that hasn't filled, except this one. There is another one at 76, which I believe will be closing soon. As you guys know, I am bearish. Let's look at the monthly. So our monthly trend lines we've been watching, 93.40 and 85.50. Close above this on the monthly, which I believe we have 5 days left, would be very bullish in my opinion. A close inside, still neutral. A close below the 85.50, very bearish in my opinion. 55 EMA is right around, where is it at? Right around the 5,040 range as of right now. Good possibility we go retest that. This is my wife's webpage, inkyourimage.com. There's a link below in the description of the video and one in the pinned comments. Definitely check it out. She's got a lot of cool crypto stuff up. These are aluminum signs here, but she's got a lot of stuff in there. It's a good way to help support the channel, guys, and you actually get something from it. So check it out. She can put anything you want on any of this stuff. You got something funny you want on any of the shirts, coffee cups, whatever, she can do that. All right, there's other affiliate links down there that really help the channel out too, such as Hard Wallet affiliate links. Brave Browser, if you guys haven't tried it and you hate watching commercials, check it out. So let's look at the weekly. So our top trend line, our main trend line that we've been watching for quite some time. Right now, the top of that is at 10,340 for this week. So if we break that this week, there's a good chance we continue higher. That's the bullish case. I don't believe that's going to happen. As you guys know, like I said, I'm bearish. As you can see here, we've got 2 tweezer tops on the weekly. That is bearish. We dropped back below this trend line here that we were looking at as a possible falling broadening wedge, which I believe it is invalidated now. And the target of that would have been the $15,700 range. Obviously, we are back getting resistance on that. Our 8 EMA right now on the weekly is at about 84.50. we have these lower targets, and these are off of trend lines. This trend line here off of these wicks, which we did wick through a little bit here back in March. If we came back down to retest that within the next couple weeks, that'd be around the 4570. And this longer term trend line coming from 2016. If we came down and retested that, it could be around 2900. And worst case scenario, which I don't see it happening, but we have to keep in mind, it is Bitcoin, and with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. But if we looked at this bottom trend line here off of these wicks, $1,000 to $1,200 range, which that number has been thrown around a lot in the past. I don't necessarily believe that's going to happen, but I do want to keep it under the radar and just keep an eye on it. Let's look at the weekly RSI. All right, guys, so the RSI, we did pop back above. Looks like this was a bull trap on the weekly. We popped back above this falling channel, and I said there's a chance we come back, retest it, and get a bounce. Well, we fell through, and depending on where this weekly closes, in my opinion, it's going to close back inside of this, and that's pretty bearish. We'll see what happens. Let me move this a little bit. When I zoomed in, it kind of changed. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, if we close the weekly out of here, we might be in good shape. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, guys. Let's look at the daily. All right, so the daily. So there's people talking about this falling wedge here, but they zoom it in and make it look really big. I don't believe this is, I mean, it kind of measures up, but I really don't believe it is. But let's look at the target if it was. I see people saying the target's the top of the wedge. That's incorrect also. You measure from the first point of the wedge, which would be right down here, to the top. And if the first touch would have been at the top, you would measure from there. But let's say we broke out here today, and the target of that would be around 10,360, which matches up with this here that we talked about. If that was to break, that would be extremely bullish. Do I think we're going there? I do not, but I could be wrong. But that's the bullish case if we break up out of this. But as you can see, for those of you that watch the channel, know that we have been watching this rising channel here in yellow. Let me get the RSI off there real quick. And we broke out of it over the weekend, or starting last week. We broke out of it, and now we are coming to, we tested for resistance, tested the bottom. We talked about that happen. We are getting rejected here. It is pretty bearish looking, guys. This red candle here on the daily is super bearish. I mean, it's totally engulfing this little doji right here. So the 55 EMA as of right now is around the 85.30 range, which you can see this blue trend line has been support and resistance for quite some time. Another way to look at this, guys, is a possible, I'll draw it in there so you guys can see it, a possible Adam and Eve top right there. If you don't know what that is, go ahead and Google it. Google is your friend. But the measured move of that would be around 7,200. Now, let's take another look. If we look at the measured move falling out of this rising channel, which we have, as you can see, volume is declining, but our measured move there is around 6,600. And for those of you that are going to come back, if it comes down here and gets a bounce up and blah, blah, it doesn't mean we have a straight red candle, guys. If you guys pay attention, watch the channel, or you can just watch the moon channels that are screaming for the moon. Your choice. But I do suggest you watch more than just one person and kind of learn stuff from everybody you can and then make your own decisions. But the EMAs right here are turning over. We talked about that yesterday. They're turning very bearish. This is looking bearish, guys. If we are able to get a bounce off this 55 EMA and come back up and break this wedge, which I don't believe that is a wedge. I mean, it kind of looks like it, but I just don't see it. I think we're going to break down, guys. And right here, this 86.28 is where we had this. We almost hit that exactly. And that is our 0.236 retracement of this swing high to this swing low. Actually, sorry about that. This swing low to this swing high. And we bounced off the retracement nicely. A fall below this and this becoming resistance brings us to our next, which is a 7,700 that has been long-term support and resistance. And I believe that would be the next target if we break down below this. Again, 8,500 could give us a little bounce, but I think once we break this, if we can hold resistance here at 86.28, and we're headed down to these lower levels. As you can see, the white are my Fibonacci retracements. This one, 69.47 being the 0.5. Our golden pocket area is between, the 0.65 is at 6,030, and the 0.618 is approximately 62.20. So somewhere in that zone would be the golden pocket. I would expect a bounce there. If that doesn't hold, I've had a $5,400 target for quite some time. And then we have, move this up a little, 51.68 is our 0.786 retracement. And that gap fill, if these levels do not hold, this gap fill down here is another way to get that is taking your Fibonacci retrace or extension, going from this swing high to this swing low, and coming back up to this swing high. That gives us a 1-to-1 extension at 34.16. So again, guys, that's a good possibility. Again, I'm not saying it's going to go that low, but definitely keep that in your mind. Let's look at the RSI. So the RSI, as you guys know, we were watching this rising broadening wedge, or rising broadening wedge. We dropped below it, most likely coming back down to retest these areas. And we had talked about where that could be. So yeah, it's still looking bearish. On the bullish case, if we come back, we could come back up in the RSI and retest the bottom of this wedge before continuing down. But as of right now, it looks pretty damn bearish. Let's look at the 4 hour. 4 hours, same thing, guys. Really nothing too much different on here, unless we want to zoom in here, get a closer look at what's going on right now. If we looked at this as a flagpole, this being a bear flag, take a measured move of that, and that would get us down to approximately, depending on when we break out, that would give us a target about the $8,300 range, $8,300 to $8,400 range. So looks like we're headed down, in my opinion, guys, unless we can break back above this falling or rising channel. And we'll take a look at that in a second. I want to look at the RSI in the 4 hour. I do suggest, if you don't use the RSI, it is the best indicator, in my opinion, if you learn how to use it properly. Don't just use it for overbought, oversold, overbought, oversold. That's ridiculous. There's a such thing called divergence, and that overbought, oversold crap will get you killed. All right, so we have bounced below our support line, and it has become resistance. Looks like we could still have another move down. Let's move this up, if you can see this red line, and come back down for one more touch here before moving up. But as I showed you in the daily, the RSI is reset, and it looks like, you know, the 4 hour has reset enough to have another push down. Now let's look at the area on the daily real quick. If we break back inside this falling channel, we would have to get above, and also our 21 EMA is there as of right now on the daily. We would have to break above the 9,100 for it to start looking like we're going to break up and go maybe possibly touch that 10.3 area on the bullish case scenario. I don't see it happening, but keep an eye on that. If we break 9,100, it's a possibility. So get Litecoin. Same thing, guys. We've had this measured move for Litecoin falling out of this rising channel, and that is around it's actually around the $32 range, but we do have the golden pocket zone here between 34 and 35. I would expect a bounce. Now, if Bitcoin is to go down and test that, let me move this up real quick. To get bullish on Litecoin, we would have to get above $46 range, which would be this trend line here off of these 2 wicks. If we break 46 on Litecoin, I would go ahead and get a little bit bullish on it. But as you can see, we are below all the EMAs right now. They are resistance. $41 range has been support and resistance for quite some time. I don't believe that's going to hold, but I could be wrong. Worst or best case, if this does have a big drop with Bitcoin, is the golden pocket zone. And then the 0.786 is at about 30.50. And down here at $22, if Bitcoin was to hit that $3,400 range, I see Litecoin going down to around here. And that would be a stop hunt for anyone that longed here and put their stops down here. And the same thing in Litecoin and Ethereum. Ethereum, I've moved its low target back to around 57.35 area. Let me get this out of here. But Ethereum, same thing. Looking bearish, guys. We are getting rejected by all the EMAs. They've crossed over. Bearish. One thing I want to point out in Ethereum, let's look at real quick, is a possible inverse head and shoulders here. The neckline would be the 200 EMA, which looks like we're about to break. If we do a measured move of the breakdown of that, if we do break below the 198 range, the target's 175, which also lines up with the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement here. And then we have the golden pocket zone, of course, around the 142, 0.618, 120. And if Bitcoin was to go down and test that 3,400, I believe we could hit 57, possibly even lower in the 30s. But let's look at the RSI. We had a rising channel here we fell out of, which matches up with this channel here. As you can see, we played with the bottom of it. Then we formed this rising wedge, dropped out of the wedge. Now seems like we are in a symmetrical triangle, which I believe will continue down. All right, let's look at pre-market. Dow is up 500. Let me refresh this, make sure it's right. About an hour and a half before opening as making this video. Almost $500 up on the Dow. So the Dow looks like it's going to pump today. And we've had a target up here around the 25.6 to retest the bottom of this. It's actually going to be a little bit higher now. If we were to come retest the bottom of this rising channel, could be up to 25.5 to 2,600 point range. But I don't think that it will continue up like a lot of people are saying. They'll just keep printing money. It'll keep going up. I guess it's possible. But guys, I still think we are going to see these lower lows that I have marked here. 17.2 best case scenario, in my opinion. This could take till the end of the year. Who knows how long, but this is my target still. And if that does not hold, we could be looking at 9,200 points. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the likes. I'm going to leave some trading tutorials here if you want to check them out. And yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, stopping by. Don't forget to hit the likes, leave your comments down below, subscribe by clicking the CryptoSavy logo above my head, tick the notification bell, and then hit the all to make sure you get notified when I post new videos. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'm out.